Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the J Global Podcast. I appreciate all the support. Please, if you like the content, just drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'll help us grow. And we're going to start with hot topics, man. There's a lot going on around the world, and I want to share some of my thoughts with you guys. And I expect the same from y'all. Just drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And, I would read them. I will reply to y'all, and we'll continue to grow together. We're gonna start with hot topics, man. There's a lot going on between the U.S. and the Caribbean. As we all know, the Donald Trump, the president, has made big time decisions. From my end, I believe they're all the right decisions. It's time to end with the dictatorship and the communism and the socialism, and the abuse of the people in Venezuela. But there's a lot to dig into it, just because it's not just Venezuela, and this is the part that needs to be said the right way. Behind Venezuela is Cuba, and Cuba, as we all know, the dictatorship of the Castro's family has been there since 1959, and they are the brain behind all operations. But we're gonna get to that in just a few. We're gonna get to that in just a few. Let's dig into Venezuela, and the President Trump started the whole move by just the whole drug smuggling that's coming into the U.S., which obviously is affecting our society, is affecting the kids, is affecting the grown-ups. The country has been affected by drugs for a long time, and not much has been done about it. You know, it has never been able to get a stop to it. The reasons why we don't know. We know the DEA and several uh, organizations have tried to put the work into it, but for some reason the drug always wins, and it ends in the hands of the American people, the consumers. This is where the dollar is. This is where they want to put it in. So Donald Trump has taken a big step, and he should get all the support on this from all Americans, and he should get the support from everyone that just want drugs to be done. When it comes to Venezuela, he accused them of being narcos, not a government. And many people, especially the American people, they don't know that Nicolas Maduro is not actually the winning elected president. He lost in the elections, but dictatorships don't just brush off. You know, they control the army, they control everything. So they didn't allow the elected president to take over, and they stayed in power. They accused them of um, playing around the voting, and the elections were rigged, etc., etc. But that's not true, and everyone knows how dictatorships work. They lie, they make everything work in their favor, but at the end of the day, um, the people are tired of the same dictatorship. Nicolas Maduro has to go. And President Trump made that very clear. And that's why I insist again that he should get all the support, because he's doing the right thing. These guys are not nice guys. They can get in front of a camera and say the right things, but it doesn't mean they're good people. In Venezuela, people have been starving for a long time. People are having the toughest times. That's why you see so many of them migrating to the U.S. and all over the world. And that comes from the Cuban regime. Believe me. When Chavez turned to Cuba for help, and Cuba managed to brainwash these guys, they screwed up the country. They turned Venezuela into a second Cuba. And I know many people think that Cuba is great and has all the right things and whatever political image they sell online and they sell to the American people, but that's all a lie. You just gotta hear it from the actual Cuban people. Stop trying to go by history. Stop trying to go by the image sold by the socialist movement. It's not true. Cuba's a dictatorship. In Cuba, there's no freedom. In Cuba, there's only necessities, and I know that they put the blame all the time in the U.S. Talking about the blockade and so on, but that's not true either. If the U.S. was the problem for Cuba, then how do you explain the following? 70% of the chicken that's consumed in Cuba comes from the U.S. And I've seen this myself. I mean, I've gotten people to show me the packages, and in different stores all over Cuba, it says product of U.S. So that means they do receive uh, product from the U.S. People are not aware how many cars are being shipped from Miami ports all the way to Havana, and no one is putting a stop to it. Cuba is importing cars from here. Either they do it directly, they do it through Panama or any other country, but they're getting it done. So that right there goes against many people's belief that the U.S. is the reason that Cuba is the way it is. Cuba's the way it is it's because the government, the dictatorship, the Castro's family never cared. They never cared for the people. The people are starving in Cuba. That image they sold about education, that's not true. Education is not good in Cuba. Sometimes kids don't go to school because there's no light, no power. So kids don't go to school. The schools are destroyed. Everything Cuba. The only thing that looks right in Cuba are the hotels, and that's for tourism. So if you're an American and you go to Cuba, obviously they're gonna take you to the nice places. They're gonna show you the right places, and you're gonna think Cuba is the greatest. They're gonna take you to a hospital. If you get sick and you go to a hospital that belongs to the government, okay, which only the army has access to, okay, not the public. Then not just anyone can walk in there and get good health. But if you go to just the regular hospitals all over Cuba, which is for the public, you're gonna see the beds are destroyed. They don't even have medicine in there. Okay, if you get sick in Cuba, you gotta take whatever medication you need. You gotta take it yourself. You gotta find it one way or another, so that the doctor and the nurse and the hospital can go ahead and give it to you. You know, even the supplies. If you need to get any injection, you need to take those supplies to the hospitals because they don't have them. You know, it's that bad in Cuba. So when people say that Cuba it's great on the health department and medications and schools, that's a lie. That is not true. You know, doctors. If you're a doctor, you don't make much money in Cuba. A lot of people they spend their time hustling around versus becoming a doctor, or even the doctors that dedicated a bunch of years to graduate and go to school to become doctors. They no longer practice um, what they study because they make like 5,000 pesos a month. When you turn that into dollars, it's about $10 a month. And if you don't know, food alone, it's very expensive in Cuba. Just a gallon of cooking oil, it's $8. A dozen eggs, it's $5. So the Cuban system is not made for the people. It's made for the government to continue to make money off the people and not giving back. And that's the same thing that's happening in Venezuela. What has me a little bit confused with this whole process is why isn't the U.S. turning it to Cuba? Because at the end of the day, this is about drugs. Cuba's been proven since the Pablo Escobar era that they were transporting drugs for Pablo. They had a storage facility for Pablo in Cuba, and that has been proven. So why they let him go, I don't know. But I think that Cuba should be pointed at. Cuba should be responsible for every little bit that's going on, as much as Venezuela, as much as even Colombia. Cuba should be turned to, and that dictatorship should be finalized. If we're gonna dig more into Cuba, that's a long story. We can pinpoint a bunch of things, but I just want the people to know that whatever you think of Cuba, whatever good you think of Cuba, it's not. Everything in Cuba is destroyed, and Cuba, their government is responsible for the same actions that you see in Venezuela, the same actions you see out of Nicaragua, same actions you're now seeing out of Petro in Colombia. So I hope that President Trump turns around and points directly at Cuba. I hope that Marcos Rubio, who's well aware of everything that goes on with the Cuban people and the Cuban dictatorship, since his family came from that, I hope that they turn to Cuba and make them responsible as well for everything that's going on. Because it's sad to see all these people going through that, and all these dictatorships, they continue to make money, they continue to put the innocent people to suffer. And let's see, we'll continue to touch these subjects in the upcoming videos, but just want you to leave your comments, man. Give me your input, and we'll chit chat a little bit. Big news around the sports world, the NBA. It's hot right now. It's hot. It's been players and coach picked up by the FBI for gambling operations, and it's embarrassing to the game of basketball. It's embarrassing to the league. Something has to get done. We heard names like Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and another player from the Miami Heat. But I'm sure more names are gonna come out. They already named LeBron James was used in one of these exchanges. His name came up. Some people are saying Kevin Garnett, and other names continue to come up, and it's just sad, man. It's sad for the sports world. It's sad for those kids that idolize these guys, and now to see them in this situation. Obviously, we don't know. They're innocent until proven guilty, but when the FBI comes on the door, they've done a lot of homework, and hopefully, you know, the truth comes out completely, and everything gets cleared up. And but this is bad for the sports world. This is bad for the NBA, and I don't know. We'll be waiting on Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, to come out and put some hard words and some arrangement, something has to be changed around the NBA. Whatever it is, either it's the team owners, the commissioner, the players association, whatever goes on in there, everybody has to do a better job, and they have to have more control of what's going on with the players around the league and outside of their time of playing basketball. So we'll see what goes on, and it's sad, man. It's sad for the sports world, but leave your comments, whatever you guys know about it, whatever info y'all got that I didn't get. But we'll dig more into it and see what more information